Hey there YouTube, what is up? And today I've got another deck profile for you. Now, like I've said before, I don't like bringing videos that I don't consider to be like of a certain quality, and you know, I could put up like lots of different deck profiles and stuff, but I decided that, you know, I want to make sure that every profile I put up I'm completely confident in, and this is a deck that I have been absolutely destroying people with. I really can't get over just how good this deck has been, and yeah, it is a Dark World deck clearly, and it's slightly different from normal Dark World decks, not by many cards, but the differences have been really huge. So yeah, well, funny thing is, there's two variations of this deck. I didn't even realise that I was originally playing a 44 card deck, and I was like, the deck was absolutely destroying people regardless, but drawing into monsters I would never open up with a monster in my opening hand. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So after I realised that it was at 44 cards, I then cut it down to 40, and it's been even more consistent. So yeah, we'll get into the deck list and I'll explain my choices after it. So we've got 3 Grapha, we've got 2 Malefic Stardust, we've got 3 Snow, 1 Beige, 1 Masked Chameleon, 3 Brow, 2 Tour Guide, 3 Drag Down, 1 Dark Hole, 3 Upstarts, 3 Dark World Dealings, 3 Gates to the Dark World, 1 Mind Crush, 1 Bottomless Trap Hole, 3 Reckless Greed, a Mana Force, a Torrential, an Eradicator Virus, Dimensional Prison, Compulsory Vacation Device, 1 Skill Drain, and a Solemn Warning. And for the extra deck, we have the Crimson Blader, Scrap Dragon, 2 Stardust Dragon, 1 Zombie Steam, a Heliopolis Sun Dragon, a Felgrand Dragon, 1 Gimmick Puppet Giant Grinder, and Maystroke, Lavavo Chain, Abyss Dweller, Gagaga Cowboy, Acid Golem, Leviair, and Zen Mains. So, talk about some of the choices, and well, yeah, obviously. So the first sort of not so much controversial thing is got 2 Malefic Stardust Dragon. A lot of these decks now run 3. Generally I found 2 to be a really good number. 3 obviously you would need that in the turbo version where you've got trade-ins and things, but you know, even at 2 sometimes this has been maybe slightly cloggy. So yeah, but Malefic is such a great card because it can protect your gates, so yeah, and it's just a big beater, and you know, you can XYZ with it and stuff. Obviously 3 Snow, just whatever. 1 Beige, not 2, it's just not really needed. Beige is like the least useful out of all the things that you could draw that's a monster, really. Masked Chameleon can make plays with Snow, just like how you'd run Masked Chameleon and maybe Machina, so it allows me to go for the Crimson Blader plays, which are obviously, you know, really good when if you need them. So using 2 Tour Guide, again in the same sort of vein as I'm using 3 Malefic, I needed to make some room, and 2 Tour Guide has been really good. I've not actually needed any more. Normally if I open up Tour Guide in my opening hand, I'll go for a Zen Mains. Normally I won't really want to search a Brow with Tour Guide unless I'm going to bring Brow back to my hand to, you know, get Grapha back. So normally if I use Tour Guide, I'll just go Tour Guide into Tour Guide. But yeah, 2 has been absolutely fine. Not needed or wanted 3 like whatsoever. So yeah, the monsters I'm completely happy with. The 3 Drag Down into the Graves, initially I was thinking maybe only running 2, but they're really just so handy. A good player will set his hand if he doesn't have that many cards, or just put it all down, which has happened, but regardless, like 3 Drag Down is just insane. Being able to see your hand and then Mind Crush away anything that, you know, might be a problem is fantastic. Keeping in Dark Hole, I like having a lot of monster destruction, as it allows me to hit back rows with my Grapha as I'm missing MSTs. So yeah, as you can see, there is a lot of monster destruction here, or at least a decent amount anyway. Next we've got 3 Upstarts, and I'll combine that with the 3 Reckless Greed as well. There is obviously a lot of draw power in the deck. Initially when the deck was 44 cards, it didn't really make much sense having Upstarts and Recklesses, although obviously they were still helpful. But yeah, like, you know, obviously I don't want to say that I'm doing the whole Patrick Hoban thing, because Dark Worlds were doing this way before that, but it's actually initially I wasn't running the Reckless Greeds or the Upstart Goblins, and then when I did, I was like, wow, this is just so much better. So yeah, I much prefer it, being able to just draw through your deck, get as much stuff, and then just set a back row, and then just go when you've got an answer to everything. It's great. Obviously 3 gates, you know, whatever, 3 of them, I don't need to explain it. Now, the real main difference between this deck and most other Dark World decks is I'm running quite a lot of back row for a Dark World deck. I would actually prefer to be running more in the 44 card version. It was running 2 Mirror Force and 2 Skill Drain. I'm considering bumping this up to 41 just so I can run the extra Skill Drain, really, because I've not drawn it anywhere near as consistently as I would like to with the 40 card version. I'd say 41 with the Recklesses and the Upstart Goblins is probably fine. 44 was too much because obviously it made it inconsistent when you're drawing on opening hand. The only other maybe thing that I would change here is Dimensional Prison out for a second Mirror Forces. That doesn't make a huge amount of sense considering Mirror Force is generally better than D-Prison. Compulsory is actually such a good card. Like, I never really played Compulsory in many decks, but the fact that Compulsory can be defensive in this deck, where say they're going to destroy a Grapha, you can just bounce it back to your hand and then just ditch it next turn and then just get rid of a problem card in their field, is so good. But the back row is been absolutely perfect. I think that's something that Dark Worlds lacked, is although they could be really offensive, obviously you could use viruses and things, but you know, the virus cards won't always hit things, and that, I think that was maybe like a consistency issue for Dark Worlds. But having the back row to just be incredibly defensive, and the fact that you draw so much you can get a lot of back row in one go, it makes for such a really, like, this is a really consistent deck, as well as the fact that when you can see into your opponent's hand and then get rid of problem cards that way, I mean, you've got so many outs to a lot of things. And you'll see in the duel montage that I'll put up that, by the way, like, I have won so many games, like I've lost like basically none. Put it this way, I was 15 wins higher on Dev Pro than I was like before I started, and now I am, I think it's 40 wins higher now. So you can see there's been a huge bump up just from this, and I've literally lost like that little. So yeah, I mean, it's something like that. It's probably more 30, but you know, whatever, it's still a really great amount. Got to talk about extra deck choices. So these are just like standard. If you're running synchros now, these are like, you know, what you go for generally. There's not really many better options. Zombie Steen, initially I was kind of like, ugh, I'm never really going to use it because I feel that Felgrand Dragon is kind of better in like every way, but nah, Zombie Steen is like you're out to the things that just need to be ran over, and you can get it out easily, and nothing can stand up to 4-5. Like, and the fact that it is a bit of an effect veiler as well is actually surprisingly helpful too. So yeah, Zombie Steen is actually much better than I thought it was, but yeah, it's really good. Obviously Sun Dragon lets you go for OTKs, so you know, that's just self-explanatory. Divine Dragon Knight is a really good, like, not so much first turn. Like, first turn I generally don't even like to play anything. I find that Dark Worlds are better when they're played like reactively, so your opponent will do their turn, and then because you have all these defensive traps, you can do things like you can defend with the traps, and then whatever they've got left you can just wipe out with Grapha, which is generally what I've been doing, and you'll see that. So generally in the second turn, you know, you just wipe the field, get rid of the resources, go for that, and then they need to spend a lot to get rid of it. So next we've got Giant Grinder. Now, I've not actually used that very much because I find that the decks that I've been going against haven't really spammed XYZs as much as I remember decks doing. I don't know, I'm sure you'll see, but I'm fairly confident with this because obviously this can be a game winner in itself. Its effect is incredible. This is an incredibly underrated card, and I don't know why it's not played in more Dark World decks. Again, okay, I've not really used it that much, but you know, when it gets used, this will be like, yeah, I'm all for having this. Next we've got Maystroke. You know, these are just standards. Like, Chain can dump a Grapha if I really need to, but I have literally never went into a 4-star, so I feel that I might just take these out, maybe just keep these two, and then maybe there's other options. But then we've got level 3s. Acid Golem, it's Actually, Acid Golem really works better with the skill drain, which is why I want the 2 skill drain. The deck just benefits so highly from it. So maybe taking that out, putting in the second mirror force for deprison, and then taking it, just adding an extra skill drain, putting it up to 41 would probably be the optimum build for this deck, I feel. Not only that, that gives you pretty much every standard defensive trap, your absolute minimum that you'd want, because most decks run 2 mirror force, a torrential, a bottomless, a solemn, and a compulsory. So you've got your standard amount of defensive traps there, which is good. Because having a standard amount is obviously standard. Most decks that bump the defensive traps up will then run black horns. They'll put in 2-dimensional presence. So I'm not missing out on that much. Leviair is also, I've not actually went into Leviair that much, but it's obviously great because you can bounce something and then get something back, bounce up a Grapha. That's what it's there for. And Zen Mains is essentially just like a first turn Felgrand. Like like I said, I don't really like going to Felgrand first turn, but I do like going to Zen Mains first turn. So whatever. I think it's because it takes more effort to make the Felgrand. So but that's pretty much the deck all in. Now I would admit that in the montage videos I misplayed like so much. I kept doing things like forgetting to normal summon a Dark World and then bring it back for Grapha. Like, I'd done that so much, but even at that I still won, so much. So I mean, you can really see that whatever slight changes that I've made to the standard formula for Dark World, they've really made a huge impact, like seriously. So this will be pretty much the video, but I want to talk about the 44 card version just quickly, so you can turn off if you want. But in the 44 card version I used Allure of Darkness. Now I dropped Allure of Darkness because I felt that there was really nothing aside from an unused Malefic that I would ever want to hit with Allure. There's nothing that I really want to ever get rid of, so that's why I dropped Allure, because you've got plenty of draw power otherwise, so you didn't really need it. There was times when I had Allure in hand because I'm just like, I want to get the discard effect, I don't want to draw from Allure. Had Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial is really good, admittedly, to get a Grapha in grave. However, it's the least useful of all the other cards that I've got. There's plenty of ways to get Grapha in grave. Foolish Burial is really only good first or second turn, obviously, where you've got a Dark World and no Grapha and no discard card. So that's where Foolish Burial came in. But I was fine because, again, defensive traps. So yeah. And then the only other changes was I've got 2 Mirror Force in here instead of 1, and 2 Skill Drain instead of 1. So yeah, I mean, Skill Drain has been so good, it actually fucks this format up like unbelievably. There isn't really a lot of decks that gets around Skill Drain, probably like Prophecies or something like that, I don't know. But aside from that, I highly recommend Skill Drain. And then this deck is also really good for man, it hits Boojins. Like, this deck just destroys Boojins. It destroys everything. Like, there's really not a lot that has a special counter to Dark Worlds, aside from maybe Shadow and Prison and Mirror, but most people are siding Light and Prison and Mirror this format, so I reckon that you'll probably get around that, to be fair. Yeah, and obviously 2 Mirror Force is obviously better than just 1 D-Prison, although I really do like the extra D-Prison there, because it is obviously good for getting rid of things that can't be destroyed. But it's a sacrifice I'm willing to take. So yeah, that is the video. I hope you enjoyed this. I highly recommend you make this specific variant of Dark World. I never even realised how good Dark Worlds could be, to be quite honest. This deck has properly surprised me, and I think I'll be probably playing this at locals this week. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope it was informative, whatever, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys. Hey guys, remember to subscribe for more deck profiles, matches, box openings, Yu-Gi-Oh discussions and more. A new video up every day, hopefully.